Okay, there we are. All right.
We're on.
Yep, now we're good.
We're here at our new time. Where's my Zoom window? There you are. There you guys are.
Need to put on gallery view.
We're here. We're in gallery view for our special Valentine's edition of Ask Me Anything. So we have moved our show to 2 o'clock on Sundays because that's real estate time, right? That's when we do open houses. Everybody's thinking about their homes on Sundays, maybe looking at a few houses on Sundays. And so we've decided we're going to do our Ask Me Anythings at 2 o'clock on Sundays every week. So we're here to ask your questions, and we gather questions throughout the week from our clients and our friends and our sphere of influence, and kind of keep a tally of what people are asking. So Rhiannon, what is everybody asking about this week?
All right, so my first question is for Shane, and that is, what advice would you give to first-time homebuyers?
Okay. Well, first of all, I love working with first-time homebuyers. That's kind of my favorite thing because there's that excitement. It's something new. It's a big deal for a family. So I really like working with first-time homebuyers. I would say in this market, the advice I would give them, well, first of all, I would talk to them about getting pre-approved. I think the next thing though is managing expectations. It's a really strong seller's market right now. So it'd be a lot, I would have a big discussion with them about the multiple offer situation that's going on right now, where a lot of properties are getting multiple offers. A lot of first-time buyers think all they have to do is find a house, and then when they find one they like, it's theirs. But there's a lot more that goes into it. And sometimes with first-time home buyers, it's a little bit lower of a price range, and those are even harder to come by these days. So I think I would have to set their expectations that we're probably going to end up in a multiple offer situation. Another big piece of advice with first-time home buyers is that you're never going to find a perfect 10 house. When I meet with a new buyer, I always talk to them about like their 5 must-haves in a house, their 5 really wants in a house, and talk about how a lot of times you're going to end up making a concession. Maybe you won't get the white kitchen or the fenced backyard or the 3-car garage, but you will get, you know, the bedrooms that you want or the location that you want. You have to figure out what your priorities are. Hardly anyone ever finds that perfect house that checks every single box that they, you know, first have on their list when we first start looking. So that'd be another thing. Points of advice is to, you know, keep an open mind. Let's explore maybe some other areas that you haven't thought about or other house styles you haven't thought about. Definitely keeping an open mind through the process, and just being able to communicate with me and stay in touch, and that it's going to be a great experience, and they're going to find the house that they love. They'll know it. They'll move in. They'll be happy. And it'll be a great journey. So I think that's some of the things.
Might end up with a pool, and they didn't even do
it. Right. Yes.
The home shopping process is a lot about learning what you want, what you don't want, and what your absolute won't do and will do, and what you're going to compromise. And you kind of have to go through the process of thinking through all that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People end up they end up realizing, hey, I really don't need this, or hey, I really like this. Like we had a client last year who didn't want a pool. He ended up looking at a house with a pool. They loved everything about the house and the location, and we're like, you know what, we'll make it work. And now, wow, we can't imagine not having a pool.
Right.
Keeping an open mind and seeing how it goes. Yeah.
So with that question being said, Carrie, what advice would you give to sellers?
To first-time sellers or experienced sellers, or both?
They did not clarify.
Okay. Well, a lot of times even experienced sellers haven't sold a house in 10 or more years. And so they might as well be first-time sellers because the market's completely different than the last time they did it. And our contracts change every year. And quite a bit over a decade. You know, things work a lot differently than they did 10 years ago. So I probably give mostly the same advice to experienced or first-time sellers. I think the biggest piece of advice for sellers is once you decide to sell, your home is now your house. I want you to not think about your home as the emotional place where you brought home babies, where, you know, you and your Valentine live, and, you know, the energy and the emotions that are behind home. Once you decide to sell, you need to let that go. It's a house, and this is an asset that you're selling. And that makes it a lot easier when negotiations come to, you know, negotiate the best on your own behalf and not make emotional choices. I think that's probably the number one piece of advice that I would give to any seller.
That's great.
Okay, here's a good one. What is the most personally gratifying client you've worked with?
Personally gratifying. I'd have to give that some thought, but offhand I can think about last year I worked with a friend who needed to sell her home because her husband had left her, and they needed to split the assets. And it was one of those emotional roller coasters where this was where she had raised her children. They were still in high school, and the house needed a lot of work. She didn't have the money for it. And then it was hard to sell the house because of the condition it was in. And so it was a very emotional process, but we got there, we got to closing. And on the day of closing, she had found an amazing rental. So she was really, really happy and really excited to start this new chapter of her life. And as we were at closing, she was hugging me and crying and thanking me, but ready to move on at that point.
That's awesome.
And it was gratifying. Yeah.
I love that. I probably will never forget the family that they lived in Stone Mountain, and he had bought this house as kind of a investment and then had to move into it. And then she had moved in with her children. And it was in a pretty rough neighborhood, and the kid's bike got stolen, and you know, they just were kind of having a hard time of it. And we listed the house for $60,000 is how much the house was worth. And that was, you know, when I made good on my commitment of I will stage every house. So even though it was only a $60,000 listing, we had a staging consult come in and spruce it up and make it look the best that 60,000 can look. And it looked really cute. And we sold it quickly. And then we moved them up to this cute little family house in Roswell. And hearing afterwards about how the little girl had made friends with the neighbors and really loved her new school and their new neighborhood, that was really gratifying.
Love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest feature you've seen in a house?
Ooh.
I know mine. I still have a picture of it on my phone. Hopefully my clients aren't watching, but last year they bought a house, a contemporary. I don't understand how this was built, but it's a double front door, and usually you just open the right. But if you were to open both, the left part door is over the stairs that go from the main level down to the bottom level. So if you were to just walk in that other door, you would just fall down the stairs. It's hard to explain, but it's basically a double door over a staircase with no railing, no nothing. And there's like 5 feet from the top, from the door frame to the first step.
Danger.
It's danger. It's hilarious. You're just like, what? Did they just measure wrong? They needed to expand the house like another 5 feet so that staircase would not end right where the door is.
Funny.
So it's pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen lots of weird courtyards and weird, like, indoor stone fountains. What else? I'm trying to think. strange. There's bathtub out in the middle of the master bedroom. That's always a good one.
Yes.
With carpet
Yes.
right up to the edge of the tub.
There's some,
Or I
there's
That's-
some,
never a good idea.
What about the worst staging you've seen when you've been out showing? One time I showed a basement that had a full on, what's the movie where he's the gladiator, the Scottish guy with the blue face paint?
Braveheart.
Braveheart. He had a full-size Braveheart mannequin guy with a fur coat on in the basement, and I almost lost my mind because it screamed so much when I came around the corner. Oh, I showed a loft once that all it had in it was a couch. It was vacant. All it had was a couch. I came around the corner and like gasped, right? And there was a giant plastic iguana on the couch, and that's it. Those were the only things in the whole loft.
Only things in the whole house.
Why? Now, I saw an example of best staging ever a couple weeks ago. I went and saw a new listing in East Cobb that somebody had flipped, Shane, and the owner flipper had staged it herself from her own
Okay.
like decorating items. And it was the very best combo of Pottery Barnish plus like a little bit of vintage hipster. It was so cute. Not your everyday staging. It was adorable. I'll send that one to you.
Okay.
And I'll post it for all of you people watching that are curious about the best staging ever.
Staging do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
Oh, well, somebody did ask, do you work with investors and help people find investment properties?
Yeah, absolutely.
All the time.
Yep.
Mhm.
Shane helped one of my good friends buy 2 investment properties last year that she had sold a beach house, and we did a 1031 exchange for her to buy 2 rentals here in Atlanta.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, one was in Stone Mountain. No, they're both in Stone Mountain, I think. She ended up, we looked everywhere.
Yeah.
Settled on Stone Mountain because it was really affordable. Good
Not
rental.
on the shady $60,000 street. I know.
No,
No.
no, no. Yeah,
She
and
got
she
herself a
she
couple
got
of really
tenants
nice-
in
Yeah, she got herself a couple of really nice rentals.
really nice rental properties with tenants immediately. Mhm.
Yeah, there's a high demand for rental properties right now, and rents are really high. So you can
Yes.
cash flow on a property pretty easily.
Yep.
Okay, so let's see. What's the difference between a discount agent and a traditional agent?
Discount
You wanna go-
agents charge on the low end of the fee spectrum. And you're also going to get lower service. They're usually very high volume, low service. So, you would think, a lot of people think that in a seller's market, it doesn't matter, and that you could just list with a lower broker just to get on the MLS, and you're going to get a buyer, you're going to sell your house. And it is true that you probably will attract a buyer just by being on the MLS. Now, if you're not properly staged and photographed and showcased, you may not get your highest sales price. And also, from the buyer's agent standpoint, I'll say that some of the discount brokers are hard to work with because they are low staff, low overhead. That's how they make money. They charge lower commission and they have lower services, lower support. So getting somebody on the phone to get a question answered, if you have your house listed with a discount broker and a buyer calls off the street like, hey, I might be interested in this house. Can you tell me, does it have whatever they're interested in? They may not hear back from them for like days, if at all. Sometimes they don't even return calls. So, I think there are critical steps in the process where low service can really kill a deal.
I can give you an example while you were talking about it. I thought about it. The investor we were just talking about who bought in Stone Mountain, the seller was a discounted agent. And I have to say, when we made our original offer, it was through a system that they use, and they just give you these automated responses. They pretty much kind of just accepted our offer without even negotiating. I feel like they didn't even tell the seller that you could negotiate. They just accepted a lowball offer. My
Right.
clients were willing to pay a lot more for that property. And had they had a good agent, those sellers probably would have gotten a lot more. And then when it came to the inspection, we made all these demands. And I'm pretty sure that discount agent just sent them an email. It was like, here you go, this is what they want. And they were
Right.
like, okay, I guess we got to do it. And they just went and did what we wanted because they had
Right.
no giving them advice.
That's interesting.
I
Yep.
think they could have done better. They might have paid more to have, a good
You know
agent
what?
like
It's been
us,
as
but-
simple as I showed a house, discount broker couldn't find the lockbox when I was there for the showing. Try to call them. Where's your lockbox? Can I get a key? Can I come to the office and coordinate? By the time they called me back to help me get into the house, my clients were under contract on another house.
Yeah.
So, I think responsiveness matters.
Mhm.
High level of customer service matters. Really having your clients back also matters. That's what I'll say about that.
All right, so this one came from our last one. We weren't able to cover all the questions, but somebody brought it up because we were talking about some of the topics, and somebody asked, what does a due diligence period mean?
Rhiannon, you want to talk? Not Rhiannon. Shane, you want to talk about due diligence? Rhiannon could talk about due diligence also.
Yes, due diligence is something in Georgia with real estate, and it's a period that's negotiated in the contract, the offer for purchase and sale, and it's you can't say there's a set time for it. Buyers like a little longer, sellers like a little shorter, and it's a period generally where the buyer goes in and does their inspections, and you negotiate the inspections with the seller. During that time, the seller is holding the earnest money. And in Georgia, the way it works is for any reason during that due diligence period, a buyer can walk away just because they changed their mind, because of something that came up in an inspection, because they just found a different house, whatever reason, buyers can walk away during that period and get their earnest money back. I think that's basically really all it is.
Yeah.
It's when the buyer's doing his due diligence to make sure this is the property that they want to purchase, and the seller's kind of just stuck waiting for that period to pass. So in a strong market like this, a lot of buyers are making offers with a very short due diligence period because technically the house is kind of off the market while the buyer's deciding whether to purchase it.
And also in this market, we're seeing buyers act a little emotional because they're missing out on multiple, they're having to make offers on multiple houses and lose out on contracts. And we're seeing a lot of cold feet during due diligence because they get caught up in the multiple offers and it gets bid up and they start, writing these contracts that once things cool down a little bit, they're like, well, I don't like this house as much as I thought I did when I was caught up in the emotion of the bidding war, right? And so, we're working really hard to keep contracts together for our clients and also strategize with our buyers to get something under contract because they're missing out. And so we've got tactics for that. And, we're seeing buyers make offers on multiple houses at the same time, just hoping to tie one of them up. So sellers need to be aware of that because it's disappointing when you think you've sold your house and then the buyer just uses their due diligence to get out of the houses they don't want.
Right.
One more, Rhiannon? We got time for one more?
All right. We'll go with the fun one.
Yes.
Fun one.
What's the weirdest?
What's what?
What's the weirdest or scariest thing that you've come across in an inspection?
Oh, and an inspection.
Oh, I'll tell you, I got one just a few weeks ago. My clients, we got to due diligence period. We got to the inspection. It was new construction, remember? House looked great. I mean, we saw a couple things here and there, like a cracked window we wanted them to replace. But, you know, my clients were considering not even doing an inspection because it was new construction, established neighborhood new construction. And I said, no, you have to do an inspection. Inspection report came back that the sellers had used mismatched old windows all throughout the house. They were different brands, different years, different styles. We hadn't even noticed. There were blinds and such. And they had used air conditioning units from 2017, HVAC systems, I mean, 2007.
2007.
2007 HVAC units they installed in this house. The sewer wasn't hooked up completely. I mean, it went on and on and on. I had never heard of new construction where they put in old, probably used systems.
That's the biggest like day and night story of like the house looks good.
Yep.
But underneath it
Wow.
all, it's a piece of garbage,
Wow.
right?
Wow. And then, I mean, the number of things that came up in that inspection, I mean, there was also mold and water, standing water. The house wasn't graded correctly. It was on a slope, and the foundation wall, the foundation wall was not up to code. And basically the inspector said, this house is going to slide down the cliff.
Oh my God.
So it was supposed to close this week with some other buyer. I keep watching
Oh my gosh.
to see what it's closing for. But yeah, that was a crazy inspection that came back.
Scary.
Client said that was the best $1,000 they ever spent, because they also had a
End up with that
radon
house.
inspection and it added up. But they were super glad that they got out of that.
Yeah. Big time structural things is the scariest thing on an inspection, I think, because that's the
Yes.
hardest thing to remedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had bats last year, like major bats. That was a good one. And the sellers didn't even know that there were bats in their house. And when we told her, she was like, "Oh, that's funny, because there was a bat on my computer the other day when I was working."
What do you mean there was a bat on her computer? Like she was
Crawling around on her monitor while she was working, and she didn't think anything of that.
She didn't think anything of it.
Okay. Then she had like dozens of bats up in the attic. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't believe that there's so many bats in the attic." So we had the bats, not exterminate. You can't exterminate them, but you can lure them outside.
You have to lure them out.
You have to rehome them somewhere.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't have a bad mosquito summer now that they've gotten rid of their bats, but.
Right.
Awesome, you guys. Sorry to make you do your hair on a Sunday. I'm noticing that you both, well, yours is pulled back on the top, Rhiannon. I'm a little bit upset. You muted yourself, Rhiannon. You're muted. Yeah. I'm a little bit obsessed with how we're supposed to have a center part now.
Oh, what the Z thing? That's ridiculous.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Shane has a nice center part going on. She's cool. You're a cool Gen Xer. I apparently am caught in the side part, old lady. I
did not know that was a thing. My hair's. I need to get to the hair salon.
Where it lands. My hair parts however it wants.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. Has a mind of its own. Okay, enough about hairstyles. Everybody go enjoy your Valentine's Day. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this Ask Me Anything. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Okay, I think we're off now.
Yeah, we're off. Video's ended. When we started talking about the scariest, weirdest things, somebody reacted with the.
Oh, good.
You're not wearing red.
I like that one.
Wait.
I don't know why it's crooked. like off center. Oh, I didn't tell Rhiannon about Sarah.
Yeah. So she went to go be on one reality show and ended up on another.
What does that mean?
I went to do Love It or List It, and I ended up on Hoarders.
Legit.
Legit Hoarders. I mean, I've never been in some, I've seen it on TV, but I've never been in one. Yeah, it was fascinating.